No, that sounds perfectly fine, man.
All right, let me get your form pulled up here. Okay, what got you interested in coaching?
Uh, let's see. Oh God, I've had coaching almost kind of like this about 3 times in the past. I've been playing
Okay,
Overwatch for 3.5 years, I think, and about once a year I've gotten coaching. I went from bronze 1200 SR, and now I'm top 500. Not
nice.
currently. I haven't played the game enough. I'm at like 35 wins. I don't know.
Sure.
But essentially, I have a lot of games that I feel like are winnable if I am better at the game,
Mhm.
and I'm just not better at the game. So might as well see what I can do.
Okay, sounds good. So, how long you been playing? Sounds like quite a long time.
Yep, 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Okay, working
Hmm.
bronze, top 500. Congrats on that climb. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's look at this form here. What do you hope you get out of the session? Feel like I get neutral value in the game, not contribute to the game enough to be why we lose, but also not throwing. Okay, top 500, flex support. Very much depends in terms of play time. At the very least, per week, I play about 12 hours at least, up to degenerate levels. I have a full time job. Okay. Now, how is that time spent?
Most of it is, not all of it is playing comp and top
Sure.
500. Some of
Okay.
it'll be playing with friends. I no longer go to college, but used to go to college.
Sure.
A lot of it'll be old friends from college I'll play with, and eh.
Sure.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me close out our phone calling app. I'm
No worries.
gonna be getting bothered by calls otherwise. Come on, get out of my way. Quit. Okay, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, so I'll play with them sometimes. They tend to be ranging from platinum games all the way up to me playing masters
Okay.
and masters. But yeah, no, I play with my duo. I want to say I usually spend at least 12 hours a week kind of playing in
Okay.
relatively high elo.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So when you're coming today, what do you hope to get out of the session? Just getting some ideas on like your gameplay specifically. Do you have anything like generally I'm gonna crack down on like schedule and training structure and the way that you're approaching the game for most players. But if
Mhm,
you're top 500, that may be something that you're relatively comfortable with already. Is that the
mhm.
case, or would you have any questions about
Um, so I have no grand aspirations with this game. I just like being better. I like
that? Okay.
improving. That's the
Okay.
main thing.
Okay.
If someone were to be like, "Hey, you want to join a contenders team?" I'd probably tell them no. Like, yeah, I've got a
Sure.
full time job. I don't have that ability, but I like being good. I like being very good, and
Sure.
I know it's possible to get better because I can see the weaknesses in my own gameplay. I've
Sure.
just reached the point that even though there's some things that I can see in self VOD review, which I've done multiple times in the past,
Okay.
um, I've now reached a point that I'm not too sure as to where I should actually try to put my time into improving.
Okay.
Just for context, I put it in the forum, I think. I enjoy aim training. It's something I actually really enjoy doing. So I have 1,000 hours in Kovacs.
Okay.
Um, so I know mechanics are not really something I need to work on. That's I play Kovacs because it's fun, and being a mechanically good player is the most fun way for me to play. And
Sure.
obviously, since I have no grand aspirations, I want to be as good as I can in the most fun of a way as I can.
Okay, makes
So,
sense. Makes sense. Well, then I'll let the training schedule go. If that's something that you're probably already comfortable with, we can just
mhm,
let that go. But let's put it this way: if any questions about that come up during the review or even afterwards, and like, hey, like, how should I be taking breaks? Like, how often should we try and aim per day?
mhm,
Just let me know, and then I'll be happy to answer those questions. But
sounds
for
good.
now, we can move on. Okay, let's keep going here. It's gonna be good enough to play how I want to play, not all about my skill, just vibing. Okay, but my overall net neutral in each game makes me feel powerless. Okay.
Mhm.
I want to try to join a scrim team to help further develop my skills. It's been a minute, but my
Yep.
last team kicked me off for being too bad. LOL.
So contenders teams are a bit too much. There's way more, chill 4.4 scrim teams of people that are pretty much like me. Hey, I want
Yeah.
to be better at this game, but I don't care to join contenders. I don't
Okay.
care to go top OD.
Okay.
It's just, hey, let's have some fun in a scrim environment that is obviously very fun to play in.
Sure.
and let's be slightly competitive for 2 hours.
So what's stopping you from doing that?
Mostly work schedule right now.
Okay. Okay.
That and as you saw in the thing, my last team kicked me out for being too bad, which is really funny.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Well, keep that in mind. Like, if you get the time for it,
Mhm.
spend one or twice a week, go for it. I think it's like it's the most quality game there is in Overwatch.
Oh yeah, it's the most fun form of Overwatch.
Absolutely. Okay. I know my mental is quite weak, but out of everything, I honestly do not know. Mechanically, I'm quite good. No. What about the mentality? What about the mentality is quite weak?
Um, I'm a gamer. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we obviously it's like I kind of just tilt at the like my main problem is tilt like everyone else.
Sure.
Whenever it comes to someone, the reason why I'm losing a game is not because of me, or actually I'm performing quite well, but obviously in season 3 we had a bit of a problem with boosting. I guess how much of it
Yeah.
um is up to debate, but
I hear you. Um.
okay, family came in.
Okay.
No, so yeah, so that's sort of kind of like I guess my tilt comes from that where it's like, oh hey, who am I if I'm losing this game due to someone that is obviously does not belong in the elo, it frustrates me. Um, I just get tilted, I guess is the main thing. I don't have the
Okay.
best mental out there. My
Okay.
duo, he's got a PMA attitude. Nothing tilts that guy. I
Sure.
wish, except for Hanzo, but I wish to be like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. 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 I think there's like different ways of looking at it. I think one of the things that helps with tilt is always having something in the back pocket that you should be putting your priority on. Like I'm fine if you're practicing something, you're less caring about like how the rest of the game is going because the goal of the game is to practice X, not to
Mhm.
win, right? So I mean that's a pretty low hanging fruit, and hopefully we'll give you some stuff to work on so that you don't have to be thinking about that. The other thing to keep in mind as well is that when it comes to the tilt thing, is a lot of I encourage a lot of proactive action. I encourage getting good sleep. I encourage taking breaks, even just short breaks between games.
Mhm.
I encourage trying to develop the maturity to be able to know when you're so boomed that practice is no longer practice. Practice is just hubris. Um,
Yeah,
and
I've learned when to just log off at this
Okay,
point.
okay, and that's easier said than done, though, right? And as you and I
Yeah.
both know, right? And I think
Mhm.
part of the maturity is understanding that you're always gonna have a hard time, but improving at that, right? Like you're gonna always tilt Q a little bit, but am I better than I used to be at it, right? So
Mhm.
um, I think any and all of those things can help with tilt. And just like I said, just understand like the matchmaking is always going to be messy. Like even if people are a lot less boosted than they were season 3, people have bad games, and it's just so much more obvious than it ever was in Overwatch 1 because it's just a much less polluted or convoluted or congested team fight environment, right? It's a lot more obvious to spot people's mistakes in both your team and the enemy team, and yourself, right? Like even the support category, you have a lot more agency and autonomy with what you do. So if you take an angle with the Illari and you miss the shot and you're feeding and you're inting, like that's something that a support never really got the opportunity to do in Overwatch 1. So you were
Yeah.
never really put in those opportunities where you could see yourself actively feeding. You just shot tank in the butt a lot. And I think like that's kind of something you just have to be keeping in mind that people have bad days,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the Overwatch League games. I'm sure that you would have. Like, you get this Overwatch League player, and you're like, in your lobby, and you're like, surely they're going to carry. No, they're going to have a bad game. What the heck is
Yeah,
wrong with me, right?
I had
It.
Dante go 8-8 in my game
I
yesterday.
freaking hate
Actually,
that guy. Absolute worst. Doomfist players rots people's brain.
uh,
No, but it happens, right? Like everybody has bad games. So,
yeah.
okay. Big thing though is going to be the short breaks, knowing when to stop, and then having something to actually focus on in game. Because it's easy to say, don't worry about the win, but what are you worrying about instead? And if you don't know the answer to that, then that's the problem. Okay.
Mhm.
Any questions so far?
No, no, you're doing a pretty good job of articulating yourself. So
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot more from your form. I mean, your sleep is definitely about in the lower end. I'm not going to be that guy, but I am going to be that guy. So,
Yeah, we could
it is
all
what it
use a
is.
little bit of work on that.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Okay. What are we looking at today?
I have a couple of codes, so I'll actually let you
Brilliant.
take a little. I'll let you decide between the two. So one
Sure.
is say more of an average game for me.
Sure.
And the other one is one where I felt like I got that more net neutral impact.
Sure.
So one of these is, hey, I feel like I could have done a lot more to help us win this game. And the other one is, hey, here's my general play style. Here's how I normally play. If we want to pick at, hey, this is how you normally play. This is what you do. The other one, I performed a bit worse. But I feel like in that one, I could have done a lot more to help carry us to the win. So I'll let you pick between those two. Which one?
Do either of the games have like anything where you were like, I wasn't sure how to position, or wasn't sure what to do?
You know what? Then let's do that one. Let's do the one where I felt like I could carry a bit more. Because I felt a bit more lost to this game as well
That's
than
perfect.
I normally do.
Because we can point out errors, but we can also like do a little bit of teaching. Like, okay, this is what we gotta do. Okay.
Cool. All right. Do you prefer for me to say it out loud, or do you just want me to send you the code? I'll just send you the code. There you go.
Illari?
Yes. Illari.
Back lobby.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent lobby. We had the enemy team had a rack. Smokey is my duo.
Are you on tank?
Yeah, Trey's on tank.
This guy's baiting me.
Yeah. By the way, I accidentally swapped Gary there. But yeah, no. Illari the entire time. Not the entire time. I don't know.
So, what is your read on this character? What are things that you're trying to accomplish? What are some things that you've kind of like been toying with?
So, as far as I believe, this character, her strong suit is almost playing like a DPS, taking off angles, firing at the enemy, almost playing for yourself. Yep. I need to, as a support, I still need to get that mindset of kind of just a fuck my team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over here and take an off angle.
Yeah.
That's a part of my Illari gameplay that I know is like needs some work. Where I'm just like kind of lost as to sometimes I'll be sitting there doing normal support things. I'll be like, wait a second, I'm on Illari, not Ana.
Right. Now you said that you were lost or a little bit confused at some point. Is that later in the round? Is it a compositional map thing? What was it exactly?
No, yeah. So we kind of got rolled this game. And so I was sort of kind of lost as to, like I was telling you, I felt a bit lost because I felt like this was a game that was winnable. I feel like we could have won this game. And I feel like I could have been a big factor in us winning this game. And instead, I, along with a bunch of the rest of my team, we just got rolled the entire time.
Okay, makes sense. First thing you always read with Illari is like your rollout comp and like how aggressively can I play. So you could pretty much look immediately and answer that one, right? Look at your second support, look at your tank line, you tell me.
So what do you want me to answer again?
How self-sufficient is your tank line / support line? How aggressively, how selfishly can you play?
I can play pretty selfishly. Baptiste has pretty good survival. My Zarya should be able to bubble herself mostly to keep herself alive. And my two supports are very survivable. My Sombra obviously is Translocator. My Sojourn can slide away. My Baptiste can play high ground. Really, everyone should not need much help from me.
Right. So it's always like, even when you are playing with somebody that needs support, you're still like, how much selfish can I squeeze out? But for this one, it's about as greedy as you can. I mean, you're late to the party here. Now, I will say one thing here. You have to, one little detail here that you have to understand is I was actually coaching Illari earlier today. And one of the big things with the Diamond player that I was working with is that you are the best 1v1 character in the game. With an asterisk around pylon, right? But you're one of the weaker 1v1 characters versus this role.
Yeah, the tank role. Yeah, I don't do much against them.
Right.
I can drill a couple of Junker Queens, but that's about it. Yeah.
Pretty much. So, like, my initial problem here is you know where she is. You know where their tank is right now. So, if this fight is lost, you have two options. One is what?
One is get out, and I guess the other one is sort of kind of play that back, I guess the back right high ground or something around the high ground.
Well,
take
you're
poke
here.
shots.
You're here.
Okay.
So you might as well make the best of where you're at, right? The one is just to get out of dodge, right? What's the other option?
Would it be to jump up on that left high ground and
Or even
poke
more so here.
the left side? Okay, I see.
Take an angle, deepen an angle. This fight lost, probably. Is this clutchable if you take this angle? Maybe. But this is not clutchable here.
Yeah.
You're gonna see tank, die to tank, if not have to right. So no, like there's in no way, shape, or form is like looking to put more pressure on the tank, like the play. And that's the situation. Deepen the angle or disengage. There's no other option. And that affects like even your opening positioning, right? Like right now, you're on Ana. Okay, where should pressure be put from you? Right, you're shooting a soldier. Where should your positioning kind of be leaning towards sooner rather than later? There's options here, right? It's not like one position.
I would guess. Oof. I could try to help control my Zarya control that mini. Oh, sorry, the mega. Yeah, I could take that top high ground right over there. To help fire onto that mega.
You got me? This looks good. This looks good. Where else?
I could take the top left as well. Also help control it. I could help my Sojourn. So my Sojourn and I can both use the pylon. And then I guess that far left side. Yeah, that far that you mentioned.
Now the real question is are you going to use any of these? You see the problem here, right? You see the problem?
Yeah.
You're on main. You're not leveraging the mobility that you have. You're not controlling an angle. And the problem with being on main is like everybody and their mother is hiding from people on main on the enemy team. Everybody is. Yeah. So by you being here, your options to shoot anything but tree are super limited, right? Super limited, right? You get a quick body shot and Lucio, and that's pretty much it. You need to open an angle here. Or you need to support an angle, or you need to take an even deeper angle, right? Those are your options here. There is no other option. Because you see what this is, and this just feels terrible.
Oh yeah, no, this feels disgusting, and I'm
right. So it's not just about like I'm doing like the priority has to be on positioning before you think about doing damage, because otherwise you can think about doing damage, but if you don't have a good angle for it, you're not going to be able to do any meaningful at all.
Yeah. And it's funny because my background actually comes from. I try this here. My background actually comes from in Overwatch 1 and going into Overwatch 2. You know who Various is, right?
Wait, who?
Various.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar. Who is that?
Yeah, so he was well known in Overwatch 1, especially the end of it, and sort of kind of GM, for flanking on Ana. Legitimately deep in the back lines, like the position I'm in, he would be in on the enemy team's spawn. Right. And so Smokey, who's my duo, actually used to duo with him. I loved the idea of doing that.
Yeah.
Mostly because I got bored at the end of Overwatch 1. I'm like, this game is dead. No one cares. Yeah. And so I took that into Overwatch 2. I really flanked a lot on Baptiste, and I took a bit of a break from the game. And whenever I came back, I stopped doing that. And I think already after you telling me some of this, I'm realizing it's like that old playstyle, like used to, if me of 3 months ago would have hopped on that high ground and would have just been like, screw this, I'm going to shoot the enemy team.
Oh yeah, you're getting sucked in consistently, right?
Yeah.
Getting sucked in, which means that your mobility doesn't really matter much because you're not really abusing the angle by having defensive cooldowns. You're not really abusing your squishy DPS, which is quite good. Tank damage, not so good, right?
Yeah.
Like even here, like you're not going to win this fight doing what you're doing. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Now I get that you're...
Go on.
No, I was going to say, I get that you're down your shift, so it's a little bit scary for a second, but like even now, it's like, how are you going to clutch this fight? You tell me.
So, my main worry is the soldier on the high ground, but I guess I could take where my Sojourn is, but with hindsight, with me being able to see the map, that Junkrat would probably really scare me. RMG is crazy on the Junkrat.
So deal with the soldier from a different angle.
Yes, that, or I could hop on that top right high ground and see if I could 3-2-1 with my Sombra and see if we can kill the soldier.
And even if you don't, you can hop from here, shift up, throw pylon here, and you are a demon. You're a total menace to the soldier right here. He has to make a decision pretty darn fast about what he's going to do because you're just going to pew. And all of a sudden, you're going to walk up here and then you're going to actually engage in him and it's going to be miserable, right? So like Like this is what's going to actually matter. This, you're ornamental strictly. You're shooting the tree. Like what? I made a prediction with this character when it was first released. I said this character is going to farm high damage numbers for GM plus. And it is going to be terrible damage numbers for every rank below. Because everyone's going to do what you're doing in lower ranks, right? Now, this is probably just a bad game from you, right?
But, I did pretty bad this game. Right. That's one of the main reasons why.
But it's because everyone's just going to no. You can't farm damage numbers with this character if you're playing on main. You know, like your tank damage is terrible. Like it's awful. Like you have to be like proactive, creative, dynamic, mobile. Otherwise, like even this feels like stressful, right?
Yeah.
So as quickly as you can, set up your pylon, control an angle, and go. Go ahead.
No. I just felt so. I guess one of my main issues that I need to learn is so that way keep in mind I'm very good at doing that. My old instincts are still in me. I guess one of my main issues is that whenever I don't have space, like in a game like this where ambush is not as good as tree is at tank.
Right.
Tree is putting a lot of pressure on him, and we're not able to do much. So I feel almost claustrophobic.
Yes.
Right? And in situations like that, I sort of kind of just break. I don't know what to do.
And that's
in
crucial.
Normal situations, I know, hey, take this off angle. Hey, go over here. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. But it's almost like whenever I start feeling claustrophobic, I just start breaking down, and I start shooting the tree. Right.
So, mental breakdown. Yeah. Did you ever heard of a game called Age of Empires?
No.
Okay.
I've heard of it. I've never played it.
Okay. There's basically the idea of the game is that you build up an economy and then you build army. There's different strategies. You can lean more into the economy for a bigger power spike later or whatever. And one of the common errors in that game is that you get behind in the economy, and you lose a couple of army units and whatever, and then people kind of panic and they'll try to like boom their economy really big when they're way behind. But the reason why that doesn't never works is because you're already behind. So it's like trying to bail a sinking ship with a thimble, basically. You're behind. You have to lean into something else. So like kind of what we're talking about here, it's like tree is here, your Zarya is getting stuck, you don't have a lot of space. Healing your Zarya and shooting the tree is not going to fix that. You can't.
Yeah.
You need to lean into what your character does and try to clutch the fight in a way. Your job as a support is to control space and create space. And the way that you create and control space with this character is not by healing your tank. By taking your own angle, winning duels, forcing resources, causing distractions. And so when you say like, I feel like I'm choked out, I don't know, like I get a lot of space, I tend to panic. Maybe part of that is psychological, but maybe part of that is just understanding that your responsibility is to create that space, not just your tank. It's your job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your sounds good.
Take that angle.
Yeah, so I'm used to, I would say, I guess I still have a lot of Overwatch 1 brain, where it's like, okay, your tanks start pushing out, and I help them take space.
Yes.
I guess is sort of kind of how I'm used to it, where it's like rather than me taking an off angle and taking that space myself, I'm more used to, hey, my tank starts pushing out, I'm really helping them apply that pressure, helping shoot the enemy so that way they are scared and they start running, rather than being able to do it myself.
Exactly. One of the things that I said with the previous Illari session is I said, you're a support just by the nature of the fact that you don't need support in creating space. In other words, when you take an angle here with Pylon, the fact that you're not a dead weight that your DPS support or tank have to assist because you're so self-sufficient is what takes pressure off of your team. You're not only doing pressure, you don't need anything from your Ana to help you do this. You just do it by yourself. You rely on your Pylon and you create space by yourself. That in of itself is huge. Like you said, being self-sufficient and creating space at this, not necessarily by supporting your tank, but by creating space yourself, right?
Yeah.
And like right now, I'm not hating on what you're doing necessarily.
Oh, I am.
But you have to ask yourself, is there a better position for me to put pressure and control space?
Yeah.
Where?
So for me right now, I would probably want to be putting pressure on Rack personally.
Sure. But is your positioning the problem?
Yes, actually, I think it is
Where
because
would you go?
I would have a harder time. Now that's the good question. Obviously I can't shoot Rack very well from where I'm at. He can hide behind. I mean, he can easily get to a place where I can't shoot him. I can either be in the back. Um, I would like to push forward, but the main issue is I know they have tire, and I wouldn't want to explode with my Illari.
I'm gonna be honest with
So
you. I
go on.
actually think your positioning is fine.
Okay.
I think you have a bit of an angle. You have cover. You have a sight
Mm-hmm.
line split from your other folks, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
stacked back here, you wouldn't be controlling an off angle, right? I think what's
Mm-hmm.
actually the problem here is that maybe you're kind of overly distracted by this here. You miss a couple of shots. And this, I mean, they're respecting you, right? I honestly think what you're doing is fine. I honestly think
Yeah.
what you're doing is fine. I think maybe you're just a little bit slow to acquire a rack. That's all. And maybe, I mean, I honestly don't know. Like you lost two so fast. But it felt like your positioning, you actually had a decent sightline. You had an off angle, you had cover, you had a mega health back, and you could shoot people, right?
Yeah.
It's fine. I
I
honestly, I really do think this is fine.
yeah. I tried to clutch out the fight with that.
It's
Obviously,
fine.
it didn't
There's
work
nothing else
out.
you could have done.
End of the
Nothing else
round.
you could have done. I'm more concerned because, like, you could look at this fight and be like, oh, like what I could have. To be honest, you dug a hole. You dug a hole.
Yeah.
You were so bad the first several fights that, of course, everything else was going to feel bad.
Yeah,
Right?
that's so true,
I
though.
mean, really,
Yeah.
really, like the last fight, like I think you positioned relatively well. And again, to be very clear, the reason why I like your positioning is because you had a decent sight line, you had a cover, a bit of an off angle. That's it. You don't
All
need
right.
to
No,
overthink that.
no, that's fair. That's fair. Good job.
Okay. Do you want to continue with the Kiriko, or do you want to move on to the Illari on the other?
We actually can do Kiri. I'm not sure if I've still got it after my break, but I used to have quite a very aggressive Kiri.
Okay.
So
I'm glad to hear
I
that.
am still not too sure on how to play a more defensive Kiri. A Kiri that plays more for her team and less for herself.
Maybe.
So in another game, actually, we had on the enemy team that a very good Mei player. So one of our counters to that was me playing Kiri, and I didn't do a whole lot to be able to help
Gotcha.
stop it. I think we won the game anyway, just because we were otherwise better. So it's not
Gotcha.
the best game to show, but
Sure.
I'm not the best at doing that defensive Kiri playstyle.
Sure, maybe. I mean, you're dealing with a tank line that may not need as much support, right?
Yeah.
And you do have another support. I know it's Illari, but like so I'm more thinking like can we get on this Weaver, or can we can I kill this guy? That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking personally.
Mhm.
I look at this right here and I'm like, all right, my Sombra just juked. But if she jukes me again, I'm either gonna commit to TP to her, heal her, and then try to assassinate Rack, or I'm gonna say screw off. And go set up an angle and kill this Junkrat.
Okay. I see.
You are wasting your time doing what you're doing right now. You are wasting.
Checks out. I mean, honestly, it does check out.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Even here, too much defensive. Like go kill, shoot Rack, go kill this Junkrat. This guy's 1 HP. Go kill him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
Like there are like for me, it's like there are times when you're gonna need to heal, but you can kind of look at the HP, the bubble management, the positioning of Zara, and go like, no, not super necessary. In fact, the only problem that I'm seeing here is that I don't think it's bad that you're shooting a Lucio. It's just not the best target. It's just not the best target. I would always be asking myself.
So it would probably be the DPS on their team would be the best targets, right?
DPS or Rack, yeah, DPS or Rack for sure. Nice, I mean, think about that. You've done more to support your team with that goofiness into trap than you've done than the entire 15 seconds part. That has more impact on what actually matters. Now here, you're gonna do a little bit of heal, a little bit of damage because there's nothing else really to shoot right now, right?
Yeah.
So, fine. And you notice why they lost that fight? You want to know why they lost that fight?
What's up?
And I love Tree.
Oh, I love Tree too. He's hilarious.
This is stupid. Rack 2, stupid. You see what they're doing, right?
They're trying to take point in a fight that we're taking the rest of the map.
Right. They're doing nothing. They're controlling point, but they're not taking space. Now, obviously, that is a strategy on this map, but ultimately, it is what costs them. You guys actually were combating and shooting and being offensive. Now they got 27% of it. Is that good? I don't know. Fatal. But you kind of see what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
This is good. This is not good. I wouldn't go this.
This is, yeah. So
see, this is not an aggression thing. This is a proximity thing, right?
Yes, and that's why I climb up there, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I climb up there, so I actually didn't know, even though I possibly should have known, that Soldier was there too. I was gonna try to get. Yeah, so it was not a smart decision, no matter how you put it, because Junkrat can one-shot me.
Right, just taking. And the problem here, and here's the problem, right? You don't get punished for it, but you. This is my little catchphrase, right? All right. I'm gonna copyright it. You don't get punished for it, but you did. Look what you're doing. Look at where you're at right now.
Yeah.
You're not damaging. You don't. You're probably gonna have to use your TP to get out of here. You're 60 HP.
Oh yeah.
You did get punished for it. You are not actively shooting these guys with your Illari. You got punished for it. You just didn't die for it. See what I'm saying? Like what is your pressure output right now? You know?
Yeah, zero. And I think I really do get punished for it. So watch this. If I remember how this fight goes properly. No.
Now this is tricky. So. Where could you be right now?
I could be on this high ground, putting pressure from afar.
Sure.
If I really, honestly, outside of that, I'm not too sure. I'd be afraid to go in up there next to my Zarya out of chances of being one tapped.
Check this angle. Heal, wall climb up, late fight, or listen for Junkrat. Maybe hit him on crossing. Right. This just gives you options on this side right here. Not right now. I agree with you. I wouldn't go up with my Zarya right now.
Yeah.
But surely, like going after tree on Junkrat.
Yeah.
Right. And again, do you notice that like your positioning is like the best way to describe you is like in the Coliseum? Like you're just in the middle of.
Yeah. I feel like that's I now am realizing that's one of my main issues on Kiriko.
Yep.
Because she's. I would never do this on Ana, for example. A character that would get punished more for it, right?
Right.
But since I'm on Kiriko, it's like I have this thought process of, oh, you can just TP out.
Right.
Oh, just TP.
Right. When you TP out, you're not doing damage.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not doing damage. So I am realizing now it's like, okay, that's where a lot of work needs to be done. Like right there, for example.
Case in point. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I really do think the playstyles between this and the are obviously, very obviously similar.
Yeah.
Like I would be legitimately like think about how much space you could control right here. You're on this side here as well. Right? Like oh my goodness. This Kitsune is fine.
I'm just trying to remember what my thought process is.
But it just feels like it's so chaotic. No, you notice that you have not been able to like sniff at the Soldier, Junkrat, or Lightweaver for like hours.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Okay. Think creatively here. Where do you go?
Think creatively? Oof, I'm not sure if asking me to be a creative is a good question. I'd be where my Illari is right now if you're asking me to be creative.
Yeah. Now maybe you're like, okay, well, I don't want to stack my Illari. Okay, so then as this fight evolves, where could you go?
Their high ground.
Yeah, sure.
I would be on their high ground.
Their high ground or even above point. I actually don't hate your positioning right now.
Yeah.
I don't hate your positioning right now. It's all right. As long as you're not just, you have options to shoot and you're not like base taking their tank, right? I think it's okay. All right. Surely we don't make the same mistake.
Nice. Oh, I might just.
I don't think so. I don't think Port players have the biggest of brains.
I wouldn't be too sure about that. I'm pretty peak right. Where did she end up ulting? Because
she tried to ult over the roof with the Lightweaver pedal.
That's what happened.
They do the whip. They do the slingshot thing, right? And they just and he kind of missed.
I heard it and I was afraid, and that's why I was like looking around. I'm like, who do I have to Suzu?
Yeah. All right, get out of point. Get out of point. Get out. Ah! Right, gotta get out of here. Avoid the Coliseum. Oh my gosh. No.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Give them point. Give them point. Get out of here, right? Like TP to your Ash or whatever. Take an angle. Start shooting these guys. Duel this Junkrat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, just get out of the middle. Get out of the middle. Control the periphery for your own life's sake, but also just to make it easier for you to actually support people as well.
Yeah.
It's so much more chaotic when you put yourself in the middle because you have to choose between keeping yourself alive or your team alive. You can't do both. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so that's my fault.
All right, well,
not as aware.
Kiriko, very similar to Illari in terms of, but like I think it's about managing your range, controlling space around the periphery, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about how Violet plays it, right? There's a reason why he's so successful. It's not just the mechanics, but he spaces himself out very well, and he's almost never in the middle of these tank traits. Never. Always on the periphery. Always on the periphery. It just allows him to have so much more uptime and so much more value and like it getting to the targets that he wants to get to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Next.
Yeah. Perfect. Let's do the next one.
Any questions so far?
No. I see. This is the stuff that it's like.
It's so basic, you know.
I'm so used to the way that I play that I'm like, yeah, that's a me thing to do right there, and then it's like, but it's actually stupid.
So much of coaching is sometimes is especially for a player of your caliber is really not teaching much because you already know this stuff. It's just kind of like, yo, you see what you're doing, you're like, oh yeah, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to call me out for playing like a gold in a top 500 lobby.
Sometimes it just helps to have like a second perspective, right? Same thing for myself. Like I'm pretty objective with my own gameplay, but that took a long time to get to that position. Like when I first did my self-out reviews back in like 2017, I had a really hard time scouting out my mistakes because I had a reason behind the decisions I was making. And instead I needed to be asking myself, was there a better option elsewhere? Could I have been doing something else differently? And that takes practice to do, right? Which is why the second perspective.
Yeah.
Now, is this Bap, Ana?
It should just be Bap and Ana. I felt so this was one of the games where it's like, I'm sure that there's some obvious mistakes in here, which is gonna be good because this is one of the games that I felt like net neutral impact.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't really do much to help carry us to the win, and I think in the end we ended up just getting like steamrolled. So this would be a nice thing to learn.
Sounds good. So. Before we move on though, Illari, let's accumulate some details that we've talked about for Illari. Things to practice.
Oof. Okay, so positioning is definitely one of them. I need to position and places to help me make space. I need to not be too close to the enemy team. I guess I need to have a plan as to what I'm going to do on Illari for that fight, and obviously evolve that as the fight goes on. So in a situation where my tank gets pushed back, I can help them take that space back by being on an off angle. The issue is that I know that, but it doesn't show in my practice or in the way that I play.
Kiriko?
On Kiriko, my issue on Kiriko, I genuinely think, is that I love the chaos on Kiriko, and I think that's why I am, as you put it, in the Coliseum. I feed a little too much on Kiri because I do love that whole I am in the middle of the fight, but it's really stupid and it gets me killed.
Right. So I think for you it's going to be about like making those reads pre-fight about like what angles can I be controlling, still support my team, play more selfishly. Because like the thing is even if you're playing like Kiri Lucy with like a win set, you got to heal bottom, right? But you're still looking for like ways and times to take angles and put on offensive pressure that don't involve you in the middle of the action, right? So like periphery, positioning around an angle, avoiding front line. And manage proximity. Get too close to Junkrat. There's obviously exceptions, like if it's a Widowmaker, I'm gonna get in her face. I think a lot of characters are really good versus, but like it just depends on the situation. Okay, any questions with either of those two characters?
No, I think you did a pretty good job of explaining it.
Okay, let's move on to Baptiste.
Yep. So Bap is just a bit of a background. Bap is my character. Like he is the character that I think I am the best at. I am sure that there is some pretty big mistakes that I will make. I'm not sure how much of them is going to be built on, like I told you, so I started flanking on Baptiste. How much of that comes from that playstyle that is obviously stupid, but it's what I enjoy doing?
Sure.
And so it's how I built my
Now, why? Well, let me stop you right there. Why is flanking on Baptiste usually stupid?
Because I am not going to be there to. So Bab's strongest ability, in my opinion, is none of his abilities. It's actually his ability to DPS and heal at the same time.
I would agree with
in
that.
my opinion. So obviously, if you're taking away half of that, which is the healing part, then it's not going to be as smart because oftentimes people will queue into a game, see a Baptiste, and be like, "I'm going to have a ton of healing. I can take a ton of space." And then after the first fight, they're like, "Where's my Baptiste?" Oh, he's 6 miles in their backline.
Right.
Now, it's the way that I enjoy playing the game. Ranked is, I mean, I hit top 500 with a 70% win rate doing it. It's obviously something that works, but that was months ago. I'm not as good at it anymore. I don't think I even do it this game. I play a bit more aggressive. So I guess I'm not sure how nowadays, how my play style of being a bit washed and playing a bit more normal, how much of that is affected by my old play style. So I may do stupid things for no reason. I may just stop healing. I may just forget about someone for legitimately no reason because I'm so used to, oh, I'm in their back lines. There's literally no one around me on my team.
Makes sense.
So
keep in mind
I might make some very... Go on.
No, go ahead.
No, so I was just about to say, it's like I might make some very obvious mistakes that most top 500 Baptistes wouldn't make for that reason.
Okay, sure.
So
seems good.
And your help would be nice in that because I'm used to seeing my playstyle in a very aggressive way.
Okay, sounds good. Now, keep in mind the other big difference I would say between Baptiste and some of the other supports is that, like, talking about Illari and Kiriko, how like much proactive and how much more optimally in angles and things like that. Baptiste, they all have shifts, right? That move them. You don't. So that implies the off angling is something that you can try to do, but you have to be a lot more conservative. How deep is it?
Yeah.
You don't have the mobility.
I think some of the best positioning that you can ever have to do is trying to flank on a support without mobility.
Right.
That takes an extreme amount of positioning, but obviously that doesn't transfer.
Right. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is, remember we talked about the Illari, like look how much damage you're doing versus the jungle, right? Like it's damage, but it's hard, shield pressure, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Bap is another animal. Bap can hurt tanks quite badly. Bap can hurt shields quite badly. Bap can put out a lot of healing pressure directly, and like you said, he can do both. And I think that's how these things work. There's less mobility options with Baptiste because you don't need to. You have a lot of other things that are in your ballpark as well. Like even Kiriko, right, can weave damage and healing, but does a lot less healing and a lot less damage, at least frontlining, compared to a Baptiste. Okay, let's take a look here. Fortunate. This one is really simple.
I wasted my shift here, which I really shouldn't have done.
You got hit by the direct, which I understand. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you shouldn't have shifted at 60 HP. I get it. The only thing I would say here is that this is just a little bit of hubris in terms of your positioning, where I would just prefer you to play a little bit closer to cover and deal with shooting this Ana, deal with shooting this Kiriko, deal with healing your Zarya before you earn walking forward. This is a little bit too sloppy coverage.
Yeah.
You think about lamping there even. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Think about it, right? And I understand why.
Yeah, it was a one-shot to the Ana. That was definitely scary to me. And see, so something like this, where I should have already rotated with my Zarya, and it ends up getting, I think Malucio just died there. Something like this, where my team being far away from me is normal to me. So this doesn't click in my head until because a lot of playing this game, obviously, is making the conscious subconscious in a good way. right? Like making good play styles or making good play becomes subconscious, and that's I have to consciously remember to do that. Unlike on something like Ana, I would have already started moving over there because I don't have that thought process in that play style.
You're
What is
looking at
going
it
on
one
behind
way.
me?
You're looking at it one way, but I'm going to look at it another way. I
Okay.
understand. I think that you needed to either commit to the rotate. I would agree with that. But you have
Mhm.
another option as well. You see it, right?
Flank.
Just hold where you're at, right? Because the thing is like, I don't even think you're feeding rotating like this, because it feels like you guys have now like flipped here, right?
Yeah, I am very afraid of this Doomfist.
So then as soon as you don't rotate here, the answer is not to go, oh, well, I need to rotate now. It's too
Mhm.
late. It's too late.
Yeah,
Instead,
that's what I
what
was
should you
thinking.
do here?
I should help my soldier, which
Help your
I
soldier.
honestly have no idea how I didn't hear that.
Correct.
That,
While you're doing that,
while I'm doing that, I can put pressure on these supports.
sure, take
Right
the
here.
angle. Like, here's a question. Like, let's say this is valuable, right? You can handle this. You have your shift. You have your lamp. Look at this. Look at this angle here. Bam, bam, bam. You can heal your Zarya. Shoot your tracer.
Back in the
Right?
day, I would have dropped down right there and put damage on that Ana and jump back up.
But
whenever
I
someone
wouldn't be
looked down.
dropping down, right?
No,
Because
drop down on that high ground right
that
there.
feels scary. But I think the idea is that like if you're in suboptimal position, rocket.
Yeah. Rocket. I like that. I like
Rocket.
that.
If it's too late to rotate, see this is where this is where you're actually the most vulnerable and also the least useful. When you when you maybe make a mistake with your positioning, and then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna try and force it anyway. You should have just stayed. You really should have just stayed.
Cool. Sounds good. I like hearing that.
This fight would have been won if you had stayed. Let's put it that way. Your soldier would have lived. The Doomfist would have died.
Cool.
Maybe it's still winnable, but okay, no. Yeah, see, that's on you. You
yeah.
either commit to the rotate or you stay. That and cover obviously is okay. So that was more of a micro detail, but that one definitely very winnable if you approach that fight correctly.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's actually not a way that I thought about it, so that's good.
Because if I'm your Zarya, I'm like, all right, if I'm not gonna get healing from you because you're DPSing, you better DPS.
Yeah.
And you didn't, right? You didn't. Use your poison.
Yeah, I've been trying to come back on that.
And that's fine, but again,
I kind of want to go back to it. It's more fun.
If the situation allows it, then like right now, for example, DPS. You better DPS well though, otherwise your Zarya is gonna need the healing. Nice.
I was dancing around to see if he was above me.
Yeah, I got you.
That's
Positioning here is good.
Scares me.
Zarya's feeding.
Yeah, our Sombra called on comms to go after the my duo and I talked about that.
That's fine. That sucks. That really sucks.
So yeah, my nade usage. I feel like I really should have stayed on this high ground throughout this.
I agree.
It would have helped me clean up the fight more, and I think I would have recognized that we might not need this nano because the only people he's realistically gonna be able to visor are right behind cover. Otherwise, you're not really gonna kill a Kiriko with visor.
You nade this, she's dead, by the way, if you were on high ground.
Yeah. I could have put a lot more pressure on their soldier and their Ana, which are behind cover, so he won't be able to visor them.
Correct.
With my nade.
Let's talk about Nano Visor.
And then Doom.
You talk about Nano Visor. Here's what I'll say about Nano Visor. If he's not nanoed now, you should nano.
Okay, fair. Actually, yeah.
Think about it, right? What have you just done by nanoing him now?
Nothing. Everyone's gotten out of his sights. No one will stay in there.
Correct. So if you don't nano it immediately, don't nano it at all, unless he's actually like being dove or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the
that makes sense.
Especially
against their team, because almost everyone on their team has a way of not getting killed by it.
So yeah, I mean that, and obviously like staying high ground so that you could actually get value is huge. Damage here is good. Damage here actually might win you guys this fight. Nade. A little bit late. Nade is good. Could have hit Soldier, sadly. I think
Yeah.
are good. I would just die.
Yeah, my sleeps suck.
Well, it's just rush, right? Like, look at this. Like, what's the plan? Like, this sleep?
Yeah, so I actually turned the corner to try to sleep the Kiriko. So I tried to pre-sleep her.
That's fine.
Yeah, so that one
sleep,
is...
not so much.
This one's just horrible. Yeah, no, that one was just bad.
It's just lazy, right? Just a little bit lazy,
and it wouldn't have gotten anything anyway. Like,
I knew... You gotta die.
Yeah.
You gotta die.
Yeah.
You gotta die.
Yeah, he calmed... Ana, I'll try to get you out, so I try to play with them, but... Yeah, but I should have just recognized.
Okay. Where should you be? ASAP?
I should be pushing. I should be pushing up on this high ground. Yeah, it's fine though. I should be playing to better support them and to help be able to better relieve pressure off of them.
Yeah.
I can't fix what my tank does, and I feel like this is part of working on mental.
Too close.
Oh yeah.
Just too close. I think, like you said, rotate to the high ground. Because you're like, oh, I died to Riptire. Yes, but you're here.
But I could have seen it up there. Yeah.
Any threat that comes your way, whether that's Doomfist, Nade, Kitsune Rush, Riptire, Visor, anything, you're a better position here. And if they start to actually push up here, then yeah, I get it. You're gonna have to drop and like rotate a hugging the wall. But they're not even doing that just yet.
Yeah, that would be my main worry, is that they start pushing up doing things and we're not able to do anything to help out. Or I'm not able to do anything to help out.
So cross that road when you get there, though. Take the position first.
Cool.
Okay. Dead, so
yeah, I realized that.
Be very careful here. Okay. Yeah, that's honestly...
Yeah, I tried to peek around this corner to kill the Doom with my Sombra, but...
I will say this is a bit unfortunate. It's a mistake from you, but it's not the end of the world. Compared to what we have to select from, it's not a party. What is... honest question here. What is your Orisa doing?
I have something against tank players because I feel like sometimes their role can be... I feel like sometimes their role can be very brainless, and that's why people like this hit.
You know what's so funny is I talk with so many tank players that think the exact same thing about support players. I love it.
It is. So, I mean, obviously, I think, honest to God, I think in high elo, tank is probably the easiest role to get base level value off of, but in bronze, hell yeah, support is. Just look at your tank and shoot them up the butt.
Sure.
I will be one of the first people to admit support can be very brainless. And that's why I'm obviously having problems here, is because I'm doing a lot of brainless things that I did better to get to this elo.
That being said, your wrist is brainless. Let's just enjoy this. Let's not try and be nice here. Let's just be honest. What is going on?
So I was hoping that because she's Orisa, even if she's antied, I can nano her, keep her alive, and her cooldowns come back up and she lives.
Yeah.
That's my thought process with the
brainless. Okay. That's okay though. That's okay. Because we still have things to learn. Very simple. I feel like it's one thing per support. I swear, it's kind of creeping me out. What is it for Bap?
So Bap is going to be rotations, really. I feel like that's really what we covered with him, was, hey, if I'm going to be, I need to rotate properly, or I need to not rotate at all. If I am in a dumb spot, do dumb things in dumb spots. If I am, or not do dumb things, but, you know, if I'm in a dumb spot, and it's going to be worse for me to rotate out because I got left behind, it's probably going to be better if I just DPS there, try to do things from the position I'm in.
This goes back to our very first conversation, right? Where it's like, your difference between you and Illari and Kiriko is you cannot really consistently rotate, right? It's very difficult to. You have to rotate early or not rotate at all. You don't have that mobility to quickly move from point A to point B. So if you try to, you're just going to get caught with your pants down. So, okay, Ana, maybe there's a couple of little details. What do you think?
Too far up. My positioning is a little bit too aggressive. I ended up dying to, for example, Tire, which Tire was breakable if I was further back. It's less aggressive positioning and more dumb positioning.
Right.
That spot up there is a place that I actively know someone can harm me from. So it's less me playing an aggressive angle and more me playing in an angle that I can easily be punished for being in.
Yes. Yes.
My sleep darts obviously need a ton of work, but that's whatever. Sleep dart is important, but not as important as positioning.
Okay. We got a few more minutes if you want to look at like 1 or 2 more team fights. You have another code?
Let's see. Let's see if I can pull up a little goofy code here. All right, you know what? Let's look at my Zenyatta because I am always bad at this character. Let's see. Oh, come on. All right, there we are. All right, can you give me a couple of seconds? I need to go use the restroom real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you.
Ready for battle.
Attack the objective.
All right, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, so just for a bit of context, I would say Zenyatta is my worst flex support.
Okay.
He is very much I guess all of my issues are combined into this one character is the easy way to put it. I outside of probably Illari because she's new enough that I don't know, like I'm still
Sure.
learning her. But yeah, Zenyatta is definitely probably my least played out of the Ana Bap trio that really used to be flex support metas back in Overwatch 1. So I guess we got a couple of minutes. Let's look at him.
Sure. Take a look. A little bit late to the fight, which is problematic, obviously.
Oh yeah, I had something going on in person. So
That's fine. That's fine. Cover.
yeah.
Super simple, you know? All right, let's go. By the way, Zen freaking rocks versus this composition. If you're going to play Zen on Koth, this is the composition. Like, nice sight lines, nothing that's going to dive you. Fields to shoot, Bastion to make miserable.
Oh yeah, that character is still so meta. I just want to like put this.
That nade is so broken. Nice angle. Rip in peace. I'm zooming through this because we don't have a lot of time, and I'm gonna just see if
that's
there's
fine. No,
besides
that's
goofy
fine.
errors. I would love to come away with something. If it's cover usage, cover usage, but we'll double check it. Nice. Usually don't get close to Junkrat, but if you got the drop on him and have a right click, you can.
Yeah, I had comms there.
I don't love this rotation from you, to be honest. I think you just hold the side.
Yeah, I also like playing there. I'm just, I don't know. I guess I don't want them coming up through that downstairs angle without me being able to put an Orb of Discord on somebody.
But then if there's nobody here, then you can just peek this angle here.
Yeah.
You know,
I get it.
It's a little bit like Kiriko, where I think you're getting sucked into the Coliseum a little. Right, where like you can get pincered from right, you can get pincered from left. You're all like, yes, you can shoot them on main, but also like you have to be. Do you see this? Like, do you see what you've done? Like, look at this. As this Rhine pushes, look at the red, and look at like the 3-pronged approach they have here. You see this? I don't love this. I don't love this.
I don't love it either. So okay.
You're either here or if you're gonna be on here, at least create a little bit of distance here. This would be a lot safer of a position. Your trance essentially gets forced by Shatter. And that's going to kill you. Where really, your Zarya, if you see this from a better distance, you can judge, oh, I don't need a trance, it's just Zarya with the bubble. She's fine. So a little bit of distance management and a little bit of what we were talking about in Kiriko, where you put yourself in the middle of fights unnecessarily. Not a lot you can do about that. I joke that whenever this happens in my reviews, that I've trained my brain from thousands of hours that I can execute at 7 times the normal speed. Just process all the information. It's like was it like the old Sherlock, the BBC show? You know, it's just me watching a VOD review. Everything's millions of information going. So yeah, cover usage is a big thing. Managing your range, avoiding the middle of the fight. Your Harmony Orb usage has been okay. Discord usage has been okay. I'm noticing it's Harmony on tank a lot, but you are adjusting when your DPS play aggressively, and it's not like you're playing with a hyper. This shit is good. And this is like a perfect situation where like, okay, that's just a dumb death. But like where really there's no reason for you to like abandon this angle, because you can always gatekeep this angle by holding this and then still be able to peek on main, right?
Yeah, so I mean so what's your thoughts on this thought process here? So the reason why I poked out is the Bastion. I don't want that Bastion to be able to freely walk on point with form against my Zarya. I want to at least be able to discord that Bastion, so that way whenever he goes on point against my Zarya, I can discord him, and now my Zarya actually stands a chance of killing him. That's my thought process. What's your thoughts on that?
Your thought process
that I had.
Your thought process is excellent, but you just can't compromise your cover while you're doing that.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is you peek a little bit wider than you should to get in an extra 1-2 shots, an extra 0.3 seconds of discord at the cost of risking your life 10 times more.
Yeah, okay. And it gets me killed, obviously.
Because like right here, you could do exactly what you're saying, but do it a teeny bit slower and save your life infinitely more.
Okay.
And also be more comfortable to peek. Because like, let's say even if you don't die here, if you take a fire strike, you got to hide. While you're hiding, you're not shooting. You should be shooting. It's like the Kiriko thing, right? Where you're like, you want to do that extra little bit of early damage, but it always, because it breaks cover, it always compromises your ability to do damage afterwards, because you either die or you have to disengage. I don't want you to disengage.
Okay. I like that.
Good. Rotate top left, to be honest with you. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, this is a duel you just win. I mean, this is hard with the Bastion ult, but this has been a good ult. Good hold. Bastions are idiots. Nobody knows how to use that ultimate. Actually insulting.
I saw your video on him.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it.
Watch
too much Overwatch League.
The 2-1.
Yeah. It's crazy. I like watching it in Overwatch League, no comment. Watching it in Overwatch League, watching players like Sparker like actually get better at it over time was actually... I think Sparker was actually doing quite a good job. His teams got better at playing into it as well, you know?
Yeah.
They're way too close. Way too close.
I feel so... Yes.
So,
you're right.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
You're peeking here because you think your team's holding close. Your team goes, no, because horrible. That's okay. Where should you rotate to right now?
I should rotate back out. I think... Ooh, should it be back right?
Here, maybe? Even just back to where you were, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Just go back. Still stay here.
Rotate back out to my right. Yeah, and instead...
Too close. It's too close.
Yep.
Now, you might be doing that because you wanted to use trance. That's the one exception to the rule. So I'm going to cut you some slack and pretend that's what you were planning.
Yeah, you know what? I'd love to tell you that's what I was playing for. I popped trance just to save my brig, to be 100% honest with you.
I mean, that's fine. Again, if you're holding close because you need to trance something, that's the only time when that actually moves. So I'm going to pretend that's the case.
Yeah, you're definitely pretending, man.
Okay. Lucky. He actually did a little bit better.
He had a mercy damage boost as well, so it's kind of hard.
No way, really? Does that actually work?
Yeah, it actually works.
Oh my god.
It applies extra damage.
I don't understand the plan here.
So, pretty much at this point,
you don't stall the point as Zenyatta. That's not what your character does. Here's what you do. What do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, where's your impact?
Okay, well, no. Okay, so I was kind of doing it stupid with my duo here. The smart thing is to just get out. Obviously,
just hold the angle here and shoot.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Maybe get a pick, right? Maybe get a pick. Maybe you probably lose, but at least you guys get a fast recontest, right?
Yeah. My Sombra and I were gonna try to collapse on this tracer as a nice little fuck you.
So let's just disregard. If it's a stupid play, it's a stupid play.
Yeah.
Rolled,
and he rolls me.
Oh. This is fine-ish if you have trance. You still need to like rotate out here, right? Like I do not want you here. You cannot be here. As soon as you get the chance, create some distance, hold an angle, shoot on point. Make it so that they either have to dive you or you free fire them on point. That's
so
like
can I play? Sorry. So I suck with Zen's of destruction or whatever his left click is.
Yeah.
So I'm not very good at hitting them. Would it be good for me to play this back left, literally this back left corner of point? Just so that way I'm closer, so that way I'm behind my Brig, I'm behind my May. Realistically, like the ball's not going to be able to kill me. And then so that way I can rotate out if someone that can kill me comes on point.
I don't think it's good enough cover, to be honest with you. If you wanted to like hold here and you're like, this cover is good enough, I would legitimately rather you be here than here.
Okay. I was thinking back left behind this little generator type thing.
Like right here?
Yeah, literally right there. So that way Bastion can't peek me and immediately kill me.
Okay, listen. It's better than where you're at right now. So I'm going to choose my battles and be like, all right, sure.
Okay, yeah, fair. I did not want to die.
I don't blame you. I don't want you to die either.
There we
go. Good cover. We'll take what we can get.
Try to grab the mini.
You know, it's annoying to me that the ball can stall point and also engage on you at the same time. But yeah, your team is correct. So okay,
yep.
Zen, simply put, what?
Positioning once again.
Positioning in regards to what?
Say that again.
Positioning in regards to what?
Positioning in regards to my ability to do damage. I guess I'm over exaggerating that point. I guess where I'm positioned too much to do damage, that I'm out of position, even though I am literally 6 feet away from being in a good position.
Proximity and cover. Back to platinum. Here we go. Right. Back to the basics. Right. And you gotta drill the basics so that you don't have to go. You always go back to the basics, so you don't ever forget. You always have to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Even at an Overwatch League level, you always gotta go back to the basics. Okay. Any questions?
No, not too much. Trying to think of if I would have anything that I can pick your brain about. Something you talked to me about, something you didn't. But no. So I think I'm just starting to realize it's like, hey, the games I am having neutral impact in, I guess it's probably because I'm just out of position.
Could be. Could be.
Or I'm just not. I'm not in a position to do more. I guess would be the main thing.
Right.
Because
you notice it wasn't just simply you need to play more aggressive or less aggressive. Those adjectives sucked. It was like you need to play better cover. You need to take better angles. Like it was both. It was more aggressive in smart ways and less aggressive in stupid ways.
And it's like I couldn't help but notice. It's like, okay, I lost the Illari round because of my positioning. Because I didn't position to be able to do more. And it's like, even though I kind of fed on Zenyatta a couple of times, I legitimately died too much. I was more aggressively positioned, and we won the game in the end. And I think even though I was dying, that was in no small part to me being able to do that. So yeah, no, you're right. Even my own Zen gameplay showed why my Illari gameplay needed some work. Even though I did kind of feed a couple of times on
there is a common theme throughout it. A little bit of a lack of cover and being sucked towards the middle, even when you need to be playing more aggressively on an angle. I think this is a common theme. Yeah, for sure.